Maybe a little too outspoken? Okay. I swear a lot. So, you know, I try and put a lid on it.
Funny you should say that. We'll get to that question in a moment. Tom, did you want to chime in about bad habits?
I feel like it's a job interview. My bad habit is not stopping. I really like drawing. But I do, it's not a bad, it's just weird if you come over to the house. At a certain point, I'll roll down my socks halfway down my feet, and I'll work like that, and it just makes sense to me. But it's like a comfort thing. Yeah, I just like, I like, hey, yeah, that's totally sane, yes.
It is. There's sensory things.
Yeah.
Get it?
Mareka, and coming back to your foul mouth. Is your comment there wasn't a Black Lagoon question. In fact, it is a Black Lagoon question. Is Revy from Black Lagoon just Gilda uncensored?
Yes. Yes.
Hashtag Gilda for life.
Yeah, she kind of is. She's the kid, the slightly, the kid or the family-friendly kind of version, of Revy for sure. There's, more we could say about that, but I don't know if there's spoilers in there. Yeah, there are definite similarities there for sure. I like that kind of character. I do. Fun.
So let's talk influences. We've got a couple of related questions here. Favorite cartoon character when you were young, or I guess favorite comic book character when you were young, and then who is your idol? So who in the industry, whether it be a voice actor or a comic book artist or writer or anyone involved there, who really inspired you to go into your fields? And I'll start with Tom.
Andrea is favorite cartoon character, it's a toss-up between Superman and Uncle Scrooge. Because in my head I always had that Stand By Me conversation where it's like, well, Mighty Mouse isn't real, but Superman's real. So yeah, those are the two I grew up on. And I've had a lot of influences over the years. I could go long-term on it, but right now the big one is Darwin Cook, who I happen to be friends with. He did Justice League: The New Frontier, the Parker books. He's just amazing. He has a very cartoony style, but he can do anything. He worked on Batman Beyond, he worked on Justice League, he worked on the Superman and Batman cartoons. He's amazing. He passed away a few years ago, and he's just an amazing cat. I try to be more like him. There's only one piece of art in my studio, and it's the cover that he drew for Love and Cakes.
Oh.
Which I want to talk to you about a little bit later on. Love and Cakes, your Kickstarter, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Miranda, you caught my eye there, so.
I'm thinking hard. You can see the steam coming out of my head.
I could ask Kelly.
I think I know.
Okay.
Thank you. I liked, when I was a kid, I liked Wonder Woman. And I used to sing the song, "You are such a Wonder Woman." So that was my favorite, because it was a cartoon when I was a kid. So I liked that. And then, I don't know, I think my kind of idols, the people I idolize or look up to have always been musicians and athletes. My parents, my dad took me to sports events from the time my brother and I sat through 9 innings of baseball, Blue Jays, from the time we were 4 and 6 years old, which is kind of unheard of for little kids. So I loved Tony Fernandez when I was little. He was a Blue Jay player. And then I spent my childhood just idolizing Prince.
I watched a lot of Sailor Moon when I was a teenager. I had a brother who was 11 years younger than me, and so we were always watching, in Canada it's called YTV, so the cartoons were always on, and I loved the range of that actress, that she was always like, I just thought it was amazing, and I also like Animaniacs. I watched in terms of idols, Tabitha St. Germain is
Yeah.
still like my pinnacle. Like, will I ever be able to do that? Working with her, she's like always acting on this level of like just the border of chaos of her choices that she makes. And it's such a marvel. And they make her do a million takes, but I think it's because she's going to make a million different choices. Because the first thing she does is always brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously, why are you getting her to do that again? Like, that was really good, but it's because she has a million other ideas inside of her. Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, that's great.
Hope one day I can do what she does.
We have some Tabitha fans in the audience, I would assume. Come on,
Yeah.
Rarity.
I was just thinking about the question the whole time and how many cartoons I really did love growing up. There's so many. I love the original Strawberry Shortcake when I was little. Care Bears, Gem and the Hologram. Gem. And then I really loved Disney. So The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. I loved all the features that Disney did. And then I grew up with that after-school Disney, like DuckTales,
Disney after
Chip and Dale, like that whole line of Darkwing Duck. I loved that. And then a little bit later, I really loved The Simpsons. I still love The Simpsons. I think The Simpsons are awesome. So I think Nancy Cartwright is really incredible. I got to go to a convention with her, and it was amazing. It was really amazing to see her pull off all those voices. She's pretty amazing. But it's a copy, but I was thinking the people that we work with in Vancouver are also my idols. So I started doing cartoons. I was 8 years old, and the first show I did, I was in the room with Sam Vincent, Kathleen Barr, Scott McNeil, and they're the people who taught me how to voice act when I was that young, and I just watched them, and they helped me. Ian Corlett too, like they all were giving me tips and helping me, and I remember I would always ask them how to say certain words, and I just watched and learned, and so those are my teachers and mentors and now my colleagues, so it's really amazing.
Well, of all the cartoons or comics that you mentioned, do any of you have a favourite of all time, or just too many choices to pick one from?
Favorite character?
Favourite of all of the cartoons or comics that you mentioned, do you have a favourite that you can pick out, or are there just too many you can't play favourites?
I don't know.
There are too many. Because it's hard to compare like Super Friends with the Smurfs.
Yeah. Oh. And you know what I saw the other day? I tweeted this. I was on looking through the TV, and the Raccoons is now available again. Do you remember the Raccoons? That series with the noses that went like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That kind of is.
Oh.
No?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Maybe is it Canadian?
It might be Canadian, yeah.
Is it Canadian? Oh, okay. Yeah?
Oh, yeah?
No, we're not fond of Canadians. Kidding. I have nothing but love for Canadians. Another favourite question. Who is your favourite pony? Perennial favourite question there.
Fluttershy.
You had to say that, because otherwise, Gilda, the vendetta will continue.
Yeah, it's true.
I like Pinkie Pie.
Oh, I like these answers. Tom, what's your answer?
Ironically, I like whichever one I'm writing at the time, and I wrote a lot of the cheese sandwich Pinkie Pie stuff. I can always write Pinkie Pie.
These are really good answers. I'm very pleased. Granny Smith.
On the Pinkie Pie topic, we actually have a question for Andrea. It seems like every time Pinkie giggles, she laughs a little bit differently, but it's still spot on for Pinkie. How do you do that? What is the key to a good Pinkie Pie laugh?
Well, it started as Lauren Faust. She was so specific with what she wanted for Pinkie, and she had actually written in originally the snort laugh, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and it turned out to be kind of like that kind of a thing. And then, I don't know, just the more I did Pinkie, the more I realized like I could just, I don't think when I do her, I don't prepare, I never did, and it's just like whatever spontaneous sound is going to come out is going to be Pinky. So that's kind of what she is. So with the laughs, and it was so, I can't imagine, I don't think the show would be what it is if we hadn't have been together, because that was part of it too. We were just always playing off of each other, and that was part of it. Like whatever Tabitha or Ashley or Tully or Marika would do, I would just react off of, and that was Pinky. So yeah, she's always different because she's just like, I know where she is with that pitch, and then whatever is going to come out is going to be what it is. And unless they tell me to slow down, because they couldn't.
So in terms of getting into your particular fields, this is a fun one. What's the most compelling reason to get into your career, but the thing on this is wrong answers only. The most compelling reason to get into your career, but the questioner only wants wrong answers for that.
Wrong answers.
The most wrong answer for the most compelling
Oh, so much
reason.
free stuff. Okay, just like gifts, presents, houses, cars sent to us all the time.
I wish.
You will be secure and retire at 65 with a pension.
Too real.
Obviously, it's the money, the power, and the women.
The cake.
The cake.
Yeah. The free cake.
The cake is a lie.
More seriously though, what or how was the reaction of parents or family when you let them know what your career choice was? Were they supportive, or were they a little bit, you'll never have a pension and won't retire at 65?
My parents gave me $600 to make my first demo.
Oh.
That's lovely.
I wouldn't say they were like pleased with the direction. My mom was like, oh, there's a new call center being built here and they're hiring right now. Have you ever considered HR, Kelly? And all these like various suggestions. We'll pay for you to go back to school if you'd like to go back to school. So, but they did help me make the demo.
That's lovely.
My parents were, like, in thinking about it, it's very strange because obviously they helped me get into the business as a child, but I think it was always, the way it was fun. It wasn't like, this is your work or whatever, we're just gonna do it as long as it's fun. And my dad actually, his dad had an orchestra, so he was a performing musician as a child. So I think that's kind of like, it wasn't that strange for our family. But then in terms of career, they really did not want me to do this at all. Because my dad, I guess, didn't make it as a musician, so he had gone into music sales. They're like, well, it's all fun, like it's a nice hobby for you, but it's not, they were like, you have to go to school and do something else. Like, what's your backup? Like you have, so they were quite, not unsupportive, but discouraging. So that's why I went to school and I studied engineering, because I was like, oh yeah, like this will never be my job. I also thought I would get an adult voice, and then
You studied civil engineering, if I'm not mistaken.
correct.
Any other civil engineers in the house? Engineers in the house, I would think.
Yeah? Woo!
So, any fond memories from that course, or were you sort of waiting to get back to what you truly wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really amazing sense of accomplishment, because it was so grueling and difficult, but yeah, it's not my passion.
Fair enough.
Let's see, I never didn't want to be a cartoonist. I've known since I was 2. And my dad was supportive, but he wasn't as involved in those decisions. My mom and I had a deal that if I got good grades, I could go wherever I wanted to school for college. And I was irritatingly smart. Phi Beta Kappa, National Merit Scholar, all that stuff. So then I said I want to go to art school, and she's like, you were serious about that? I'm like, yeah, there's no scholarships, and it's in New Jersey, so I want to go there. I went to a place called the Hubert School. And she wasn't a fan of it. My grandmother actually had a big talk with her and said, Tom will be fine, let him do this, which is why my publishing company is named after my grandmother.
That's lovely.
My mom's West Farm. No. But my mom, she wasn't against me becoming a cartoonist. It was more like saying that you're going to play in the NBA. It's not like there aren't jobs every day, but there's so few of them that she was worried just about the math of it happening. She is now my biggest supporter. I remember I was out in LA after Comic-Con and she called me. I have 4 brothers. John, Robert, Michael, Zeppo, Harpo, something like that. And she called me and she started drilling me about if I had work. And I'd been freelance for 10 years and I have a house and everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Why are you asking me? And she says, I need someone to support me to the manner to which I've become accustomed. And I'm like, but you have 4 other kids. You've got a teacher, a lawyer, an architectural engineer, and whatever Mike does. Like, why are you calling the cartoonist? She's like, I know which one's doing what. So, yeah, it's a huge fan.
Similar to Andrea, like my mom, when I first started talking about it when I was very young, she was kind of, I think she probably thought I'd been a screw loose, but she was just sort of shrugged her shoulders about when I wanted to do something. Okay, whatever. And my dad was vehemently against it, just appalled at the idea that I would do something like this for a living. So I remember one time at I think it was either Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner at my aunt and uncle's house, and his sister, my auntie Mavis. My dad was going on and on about it, and finally I just like smacked my fist on the table. Dad, it's my life! There was this silence. And then my auntie Mavis clapped. It's one of the defining moments of my life.
Yeah, my parents still call and they're like, are you working? What's happening right now? I'm like, yes. Lay off! and it's hard too because they're so worried about you. But they're like, what happened with that audition? Like, did you hear anything yet? And you're like, sometimes you never hear. And it doesn't even mean you didn't get it. But also, I don't want to think about that. And it's tough.
I'm sorry, I want to tell it because I love this story so much. My mom came out with me to Baltimore the year that I was nominated for Harvey Award. And my mom, like I said, she's been a fan for a while, but Stan Lee was at the Harvey Awards, and I designed a glass, and I know Stan. I've met him for the first time like 6 times, and he's Stan Lee. He doesn't need to know who I am. But my mom met Stan Lee, and you never think that's going to happen. And I have a picture of this, and it's just the most awesome thing. And Stan told my mom a very Stan Lee thing, like, because I'd drawn a picture of him. And basically, he said, your son is so talented because he had such a great subject to work with. It was perfect Stan Lee. Yeah. My mom now remembers this completely differently. That Stan Lee said that he knew who my son was and that he could pencil and that he could write and he could letter. And that's not what happened.
Classic mom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my Facebook photo. Usually is the picture of the 2 of them meeting.
That's cool. That's actually funny because I think my dad started to realize that, like, you know, this was a real thing. It could be a real thing when I was in Phantom of the Opera. So it's a good thing he wasn't at the performance where I landed flat on my face.
I mean, I hope that you share with them that, you know, you get invited to conventions.
Yeah, my mom's been to a lot of conventions.
I think this is your 53rd?
I can't believe that.
Wow,
That can't be right.
53rd?
That can't be right.
It's amazing.
At least we got more than
Doesn't
that.
feel like it.
Yeah, that was 49 a couple times
Feels
ago.
fresh.
That's good. I'm glad that you're not tired of it yet.
Now that I'm a parent, I have a little bit more perspective of why my parents would have been concerned about a particular risky career path. When you're a parent, I think there's another person walking around that has their own hopes and desires, but you feel all their pain with them, but you have no control of what happens, and so you want them to pick something safe and secure because their failures hurt. Like you feel it. So I can understand more what the concern of a parent wanting their kid to choose a more secure path.
I think it's changed too from, I remember when I was growing up, it's like, you know, there's such traditional career paths. Like it was just so different, and now everything's changed with tech, and you know, there's a way to make a career so many more different ways. And it used to be like, well, are you gonna be an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor, accountant? Like it was just like, what? But it's not. That's not the way it is anymore.
And I don't think my parents have really watched barely anything I've been in, so it still doesn't seem, I think, real for them, because they're not the target audience of really anything that I've done.
So, I've got a question here. What is a personal interest, or I guess another set of skills that you picked up that have turned out to be helpful at least once to your job? So I guess, Andrea, has civil engineering informed how you perform Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie?
No.
But in all seriousness, is there a personal interest or skill that has helped inform your career path?
You're asking me?
Oh, all of you.
Sometimes for film and TV, I audition to play doctors, women who get a lot of education and make smart, good choices with their lives. And I've gone back to school. I have, out of my own interest. And every time I complete a course, I feel like a more educated woman, and so that I can bring that to those roles where I'm like, okay, I'm a doctor. I can do that. I've written reports before. I've done this. I've had critical thinking skills. Okay, I can be this woman for pretend. Yeah, so all those. Every life experience informs your acting choices.
And your writing choices. I steal from my life all the time. Travel's been good because I like going places to actually see them. And I used to do caricatures in an amusement park.
Oh.
And that helps a lot with drawing faces, but it also helped me break out of my shell because nobody's going to come and sit for a caricature if you don't approach them. So like me at my table here is how I used to be, like being able to sell and talk to people. That came from doing caricatures.
Hey, Kelly and Marika, did you have an audition where you had to play the kazoo? Because I did, and I just killed it. Like, that was awesome, and I didn't get it. And I know, but it was like, I was like, this is my time. I didn't even have a kazoo, but I went to the store, I got the kazoo, like, I was so ready. Yeah, like, who stole that?
Yeah. That actually reminds me of something. So we had an audition for, I think it was Littlest Pet Shop. Do you remember that we had to sing California Girls?
Oh, for every audition,
Yeah.
For
a while.
for years. Yes, I remember.
So I'm obsessed with hip hop. And so I did only the last bit of California Girls, and then I did Snoop's rap.
Nice.
Every audition.
Did you get the part?
I think it's, no, that's what it reminded me of, is that Andrea was saying, like, I killed that, like, kazoo playing, I killed that rap.
Well, we've got time for a couple more questions. If you didn't have a chance to have your question answered, I know these wonderful people will be around this weekend, so perhaps during an autograph session, or perhaps when Tom is at his table trying to work.
Yep. Oh yeah, I can talk and draw at the same time. I've been doing this a while.
Nice. So I'm going to open this up to everyone. A piece of advice you have for folks who are aspiring to enter your profession. Other than don't.
Well, I have some advice, and it's something that I've always done. I don't know if every actor subscribes to this, but it's probably from my parents, but it's always important to also have something else going on. Because when you're just focusing on auditioning, you may or may not be booking things, not even just to support yourself, but also just mentally. I think it's important to have something else going on, because you can really get stuck in your head if you're, oh, I didn't hear about this or I didn't hear about that. So I've always done something else on the side. I like working, so I've taught piano, I've worked in a government office, babysitting. I've done all kinds of different jobs, and I enjoy that, and it's good for me to have a little bit of perspective. So That's my
My advice is to look within yourself of what your actual strengths are. Could be surrounded by so many talented people, and you're like, oh, I want to be like this person. Oh, I should try and be like that. But your success will come from the thing that your natural thing that makes you you. And I was lucky at like 18 to think, I think my voice might be the thing that is a little bit different than other actors, and maybe I should lean hard into that area and work on other stuff as I do it, but I'm going to lean hard here because I think that's my strength.
Specifically for drawing, if you want to do this, draw something you hate every week, like something you literally hate to draw. Like I hate drawing horses. And then ironically,
Wait a second.
then it came back to bite me. Yeah, so you're gonna have to learn how to draw it anyway, so keep pushing yourself, don't just draw the thing you like. Pass that, stop waiting for permission. I self-published, I just kept going. I'm too dumb to stop. But, people are waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to do it. Like, you're gonna get better, just keep going.
Oh, I can't draw at all, but I hate drawing hands. Oh.
Hence draw ponies, you just have to worry about hooves.
Exactly.
Unless you're like Lyra.
Crowd scenes, I hate crowd scenes and I keep writing them.
I think for, sometimes it's hard to remember that it's really about the acting and the acting choices and the character that you're playing, right? I think that sometimes that gets like lost a little bit sometimes when people are first starting out. So yeah, look at it as who's this person? What's the personality like? How do they believe the world treats them? How are they reacting to a particular situation, circumstances, or people that they're interacting with? And for me, that gives a really lively and full performance. So that's the part I think.
So, any final thoughts or any ongoing projects that you'd like to plug that you're not under NDA to not discuss?
Oh yeah, there's always that.
Watch Strawberry Shortcake, please. I have another something, but I can't say that. I'm really excited to share it. Hopefully soon.
Look, a moose.
I've been very interested in the environmental movement recently. It's what I've been learning about in school, all the different tactics we can use to help solve some of the many problems we have ahead of us in the next 10 and 20 years. I'm really excited to go to the Nature Conservatory tomorrow with a few.
Who's going? Anyone here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Join us. Are you gonna come too? Oh, I love birds, so I'm excited to learn about some cool birds and learn about a conservation effort here in Milwaukee.
I have a Kickstarter going on right now with 19 days left for Love and Cape's Home for the Holidays, which takes the characters and it's all taking place between the week between Christmas and New Year's. So it's the latest iteration. So there's that, and then I'm going to be doing a book for Storm Camp about cats at seacoasts.
Oh,
Very cool.
I feel like I can't really. There's some things that I can't say, but I don't even know if I can or can't. So I'll just say, after a number of years, I think it was like something like 6 or 7 years without recordings, that we thought the show was done. Johnny Test came back. So there's a new version of Johnny Test on Netflix for those of you who are at all interested. So if you watch it, maybe we'll get another season out of it. So it's new animation for any of you who might be interested. So slightly different, like updated version of it. So maybe give us a watch, and then maybe what do they call it? The algorithms or whatever, and then maybe we get another season. I think if we got another season, I think it would be season either 8 or 9.
Very cool. Well, with that, please help me thank our wonderful guests, Andrea.